In Meadowgrove, a wedding takes a shocking turn when the groom, or Ian, slaps his bride, Isolde, at the altar. Isolde's powerful response goes viral, making her a symbol of strength. As Orion seeks redemption, their love story unfolds in a journey of forgiveness and growth. Get ready for an emotional tale of second chances. Hello, family. Welcome to Storytime Mutually. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories. Like and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. In the picturesque town of Meadowgrove, where the sun painted the sky with hues of gold and the river whispered tales of old, the grand wedding of Isolde Kaylani and Orion Blackwood was about to commence. The townsfolk had eagerly awaited this day, for Isolde and Orion were beloved figures, known for their kindness and charm. The Church of St. Catherine, a grand structure with stained glass windows and an imposing bell tower, stood proudly at the heart of Meadowgrove. Its interior was adorned with cascades of white roses and twinkling fairy lights, creating an atmosphere of ethereal beauty. The air was filled with the soft melody of a string quartet, their harmonious notes echoing through the hallowed halls. Isolde, the radiant bride, stood at the altar beside Orion, her groom. She was a vision in her lace gown, which shimmered with every movement, catching the light like 1,000 tiny stars. Her hair, a cascade of dark curls, was adorned with a delicate tiara that sparkled with each breath she took. Her eyes, a deep shade of emerald, sparkled with anticipation and love. Orion, tall and handsome in his tailored suit, stood beside her, his gaze fixed on his bride. His eyes, a piercing blue, held a mixture of nerves and excitement. He had always been the confident one, the life of the party, but today he felt a flutter of anxiety in his chest. This was the day he had dreamed of, the day he would finally make Isolde his wife. The guests, a sea of familiar faces, filled the pews, their eyes gleaming with joy and curiosity. Among them were Isolde's parents, Alara and Thorn, who watched their daughter with pride and a hint of sadness. They knew that today marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one that would take her away from their protective embrace. Orion's best man, Lyndon, stood beside him, offering silent support. He had known Orion since childhood and had witnessed the ups and downs of his friend's journey. He knew the depth of Orion's love for Isolde and the lengths he would go to make her happy. Father O'Connor, the wise and gentle priest who had baptized both Isolde and Orion, stood before them, his voice steady and soothing as he began the ceremony. He spoke of love, commitment, and the sacred bond of marriage, his words resonating through the church. Isolde and Orion exchanged heartfelt bows, their voices trembling with emotion. They promised to love and cherish each other, to stand by each other's side through joy and sorrow, and to build a life together filled with happiness and laughter. The guests listened, their hearts swelling with emotion, as the couple sealed their promises with a tender exchange of rings. As Father O'Connor declared them husband and wife, a collective sigh of joy filled the church. The moment had finally arrived, the moment when Isolde and Orion would share their first kiss as a married couple. The guests leaned forward in their seats, eager to witness this tender moment. But as Orion leaned in, something unexpected happened. His face, which had been a picture of joy and love, suddenly contorted with anger. Without warning, he raised his hand and slapped Isolde across the face, the sound echoing through the church like a gunshot. A collective gasp filled the air as the guests stared in disbelief. Isolde's hand flew to her cheek, her eyes wide with shock and pain. Tears welled up, but she held them back, determined not to let them fall. The church, which had been filled with joy and anticipation just moments ago, was now shrouded in a thick, uncomfortable silence. Father O'Connor looked horrified, his eyes darting between Isolde and Orion. "Orion, what have you done?" he exclaimed, his voice trembling with shock and disbelief. Orion, realizing the gravity of his actions, stumbled back, his face pale. "Isolde, I didn't mean to," He stammered, but the damage was done. The guests, who had come to celebrate their love, now looked at him with a mixture of shock, anger, and disappointment. Isolde took a deep breath, her mind racing. She looked at the sea of faces, all staring at her in disbelief. She knew she had to do something, anything, to salvage this moment. With a steely resolve, she straightened her back and turned to face the guests. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "It seems our wedding has taken an unexpected turn. But I assure you, this is not the end of our story." As she spoke, she felt a surge of strength and determination. She knew that this moment would define her, that it would shape the course of her life. And she was determined to rise above it, to show the world that she was more than just a victim of circumstance. With those words, Isolde took the first step towards reclaiming her dignity and her future. Little did she know, her actions would resonate far beyond the walls of St. Catherine's Church, inspiring others and changing the course of her life in ways she never could have imagined. The reception hall at the prestigious Meadowgrove Manor was a sight to behold. Grand chandeliers cast a warm, inviting glow over the elegantly set tables, adorned with centerpieces of fresh flowers and flickering candles. The air was filled with the tantalizing aroma of gourmet dishes prepared by the town's finest chefs and the hum of conversation as guests whispered among themselves, still reeling from the shocking events at the church. Isolde had excused herself to the bridal suite, a sanctuary of tranquility amidst the storm of emotions that raged outside. As she sat in front of the ornate mirror, she gently dabbed her cheek with a cold compress, the sting of Orion's slap still fresh on her skin. She took a deep breath, her reflection staring back at her with a mixture of determination and vulnerability. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Charlotte, her maid of honor and closest confidant, entered the room, her eyes filled with concern. "Isolde, are you all right?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Isolde turned to her friend, a mischievous glint sparkling in her eyes. "I'm fine, Charlotte. In fact, I've never felt better." Charlotte raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback by Isolde's response. "Better? Isolde, he slapped you in front of everyone. The entire town is talking about it." Isolde nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "I know. And that's exactly why I need to do something about it. I can't let him get away with this, Charlotte. I won't be a victim." Charlotte's expression softened as she understood the resolve in Isolde's voice. "All right, Isolde. What do you have in mind?" Isolde's eyes sparkled with excitement as she shared her plan with Charlotte. Together, they devised a strategy that would not only redeem Isolde's dignity, but also send a powerful message to Orion and the rest of the town. Meanwhile, in the reception hall, Orion paced nervously, trying to avoid the accusing stares of the guests. He had no idea what Isolde was planning, but he knew it wouldn't be good. His best man, Lyndon, stood by his side, offering silent support despite the turmoil that swirled around them. As the band struck up a lively tune, the atmosphere in the hall shifted. The guests, who had been whispering and casting furtive glances at Orion, now turned their attention to the dance floor, anticipation etched on their faces. They knew that something extraordinary was about to happen. And then she appeared. Isolde made her grand entrance, looking like a vision in a stunning red dress that hugged her curves and shimmered with every step she took. Her hair cascaded down her back in loose waves, and her makeup was flawless, accentuating her striking features. She looked like a woman on a mission, her confidence radiating like a beacon in the night. The room fell silent as she walked confidently to the dance floor, her heels clicking on the polished wood. She signaled the band to stop playing and turned to face Orion, her eyes locked onto his with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. "Orion," she said, her voice carrying through the room with a strength that belied her petite frame. "You thought you could humiliate me in front of our friends and family, but you underestimated me." She snapped her fingers, and the band began to play a familiar tune, the song they had chosen for their first dance. But this time, it was Isolde who took the lead. She grabbed Orion's hand and pulled him onto the dance floor, spinning him around until he was dizzy. The guests watched in amazement as Isolde dipped and twirled, her red dress swirling around her like a flame. As they danced, Isolde leaned in close to Orion, her breath hot on his ear. "You thought you could break me, Orion, but I am stronger than you ever imagined. And now, the whole world will know it." The dance floor became a stage for Isolde's triumph. With each step, each spin, each dip, she reclaimed her power, her dignity, and her self-respect. The guests watched in awe, their eyes filled with admiration and respect for the woman who had turned her humiliation into a moment of empowerment. As the song reached its crescendo, Isolde executed a final, dramatic dip, leaving Orion breathless and disoriented. The room erupted in applause, the guests cheering and whistling as Isolde stood tall and proud, her eyes shining with triumph. But Isolde's revenge did not end with the dance. As the applause subsided, she turned to the guests, her voice steady and clear. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being here today. Your support means the world to me, and I want you to know that I will not let this incident define me. I am more than a victim of circumstance. I am a woman of strength, of resilience, and of love." She paused, her eyes scanning the room before continuing. "And so, I invite you all to join me in celebrating not just a wedding, but a new beginning. A beginning filled with hope, with courage, and with the knowledge that we are all capable of rising above our circumstances and becoming the best versions of ourselves." With those words, Isolde extended her hand to Orion, a gesture of forgiveness and reconciliation. The guests watched in anticipation, their breaths held. As Orion hesitated for a moment before taking her hand, his eyes filled with gratitude and remorse. As they stood together, hand in hand, the room erupted in cheers once again. The band struck up a lively tune, and the guests flooded the dance floor, their spirits lifted by Isolde's powerful message of empowerment and forgiveness. Throughout the night, Isolde and Orion danced and laughed, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced. They knew that their journey would not be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles along the way. But they also knew that, together, they could overcome anything. And so, the night wore on, filled with music, laughter, and the promise of a brighter future. Isolde's revenge had not only redeemed her dignity, but also brought the town of Meadowgrove together in a celebration of love, forgiveness, and the unbreakable spirit of its people. As the stars twinkled in the night sky, casting their gentle light upon the manor, it was clear that this was a night that would be remembered for generations to come. The days following the wedding were a whirlwind of emotions for Isolde and Orion, as well as for the entire town of Meadowgrove. The events of that fateful day had left an indelible mark on everyone's hearts, and the ripples of Isolde's bold response to Orion's slap continued to spread far and wide. Isolde's dance at the reception had gone viral, with videos capturing the moment circulating rapidly on social media. The hashtag Isolde's Revenge trended nationwide, and overnight, Isolde became a symbol of strength and resilience. Her story resonated with people from all walks of life, inspiring countless individuals to stand up for themselves and reclaim their power. As Isolde navigated her newfound fame, she found solace in the outpouring of support from friends, family, and even strangers who had been moved by her story. Her parents, Alara and Thorn, stood by her side, offering unwavering love and encouragement. They marveled at their daughter's courage and the profound impact she had made on the world. Meanwhile, Orion faced a different reality. He had moved out of their shared apartment and was staying with his best man, Lyndon. The once proud groom now found himself the subject of ridicule and scorn. He couldn't go anywhere without being recognized as the groom who slapped his bride. The weight of his actions bore down on him, and he struggled to find his place in a world that now viewed him with disdain. Despite the challenges, Orion was determined to make amends. He knew that words alone would not be enough to heal the wounds he had inflicted. He needed to take action, to prove to Isolde and the world that he was truly sorry. With Lyndon's support, Orion began a journey of redemption, one step at a time. He started by volunteering at a local women's shelter, offering his time and skills to support those in need. He listened to the stories of the women there, their struggles and triumphs, and gained a deeper understanding of the impact of his actions. He also began attending anger management classes, learning to recognize and control his emotions in a healthy way. As Orion worked tirelessly to make amends, Isolde's life took on a new dimension. She became an advocate for empowerment and self-love, using her platform to raise awareness about domestic violence and the importance of standing up for oneself. She appeared on talk shows, gave interviews, and even started a blog where she shared her experiences and insights. Her message was clear and powerful. No one deserves to be a victim of abuse, and everyone has the right to live a life free from fear and violence. Isolde's words struck a chord with people from all walks of life, inspiring them to take a stand against injustice and to support one another in times of need. One evening, as Isolde was preparing for another interview, she received a knock at her door. Standing on the other side was Orion, looking contrite and holding a bouquet of flowers. His eyes were filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation as he waited for her to invite him in. Isolde hesitated for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that this conversation would be difficult, but she also knew that it was necessary. With a deep breath, she stepped aside and let him in. They sat down on the couch, the bouquet of flowers lying untouched on the coffee table. The room was filled with a tense silence, the weight of their shared history hanging heavy in the air. Orion took a deep breath and began to speak. Isolde, I know that my apology may seem hollow after everything that's happened, but I want you to know that I am truly sorry. I never meant to hurt you, and I regret my actions more than words can express. He paused, his eyes searching hers for any sign of understanding. I've been doing a lot of soul-searching these past few weeks, and I've come to realize that my actions were a result of my own insecurities and fears. I let my emotions get the best of me, and in doing so, I hurt the person I love the most. Isolde listened silently, her expression unreadable. She could see the sincerity in Orion's eyes, the genuine remorse that shone through his words. But she also knew that forgiveness would not come easily. She had been hurt deeply, and the wounds would take time to heal. Orion, I appreciate your apology, but actions speak louder than words. You humiliated me in front of everyone, and I can't just forget that. I need to see that you're truly committed to changing, to becoming a better person. Orion nodded, understanding in his eyes. I know, Isolde, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it up to you. I've been volunteering at the women's shelter, attending anger management classes, and even started a support group for men struggling with their emotions. I want to be a better man, not just for you, but for myself as well. Isolde considered his words for a moment before speaking. All right, Orion, but it won't be easy. You'll have to prove to me, and to everyone else, that you're truly sorry. And that means more than just words. It means actions, consistency, and a genuine commitment to change. Orion reached out and took her hand, his grip gentle yet firm. I promise you, Isolde, I will do whatever it takes to regain your trust and to prove to you that I am the man you deserve. As they sat there, hand in hand, the tension in the room began to dissipate. They both knew that the road ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles and setbacks. But they also knew that, with time and effort, they could overcome anything. In the days that followed, Orion continued his journey of redemption, determined to prove to Isolde and the world that he was a changed man. He worked tirelessly at the women's shelter, becoming a familiar and beloved figure among the residents. He also continued his anger management classes, learning to channel his emotions in a positive and constructive way. Meanwhile, Isolde's advocacy work gained momentum, inspiring countless individuals to stand up for themselves and take control of their lives. She traveled the country, speaking at conferences and events, sharing her story and spreading her message of empowerment and self-love. Through it all, Isolde and Orion maintained a delicate balance, navigating the complexities of their relationship with caution and care. They knew that their love story was far from over, that it was a work in progress, a tapestry woven with threads of forgiveness, redemption, and hope. And so, As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Isolde and Orion continued on their separate paths, healing and growing, until the day came when they were ready to face the future together. Their story became a testament to the power of forgiveness, redemption, and the unbreakable bond of love that held them together through the darkest of times. As the seasons changed and the leaves turned from vibrant green to fiery hues of red and gold, so too did the landscape of Isolde and Orion's lives. The town of Meadowgrove, once abuzz with whispers and speculation, now hummed with a sense of anticipation and hope. The air was filled with the scent of change and the promise of new beginnings. Isolde's journey as an advocate for empowerment and self-love had taken her far and wide. She had traveled the country, sharing her story with countless individuals, inspiring them to stand up for themselves and take control of their lives. Her blog had gained a massive following, and she was now a sought-after speaker at conferences and events. Her parents, Alara and Thorn, watched their daughter's transformation with pride and awe. They marveled at her strength and resilience and the profound impact she had made on the world. They knew that Isolde's journey was far from over, that she had only just begun to scratch the surface of her potential. Meanwhile, Orion's dedication to his journey of redemption had not gone unnoticed. He had become a familiar and beloved figure at the women's shelter, his tireless efforts earning him the respect and admiration of the residents and staff alike. He had also made significant strides in his anger management classes, learning to channel his emotions in a positive and constructive way. His support group for men struggling with their emotions had grown in size and scope, becoming a safe space for individuals to share their experiences and seek guidance. Orion's leadership and compassion had touched the lives of many, inspiring them to confront their own demons and seek a path to healing. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Isolde and Orion found themselves drawn closer together, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced and the growth they had experienced. They knew that their love story was far from over, that it was a work in progress, a tapestry woven with threads of forgiveness, redemption, and hope. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the sun cast a warm glow over the changing leaves, Isolde found herself standing at the edge of Meadowgrove Park. The park held a special place in her heart, a sanctuary where she had often sought solace and reflection. She took a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs, and closed her eyes, letting the sounds of nature wash over her. As she stood there, lost in thought, she felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She turned to find Orion standing behind her, a soft smile playing on his lips. He held out a single red rose, its petals velvety and inviting. "Isolde," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been thinking a lot lately about us, about our future. And I wanted to ask you something." Isolde's heart fluttered in her chest as she took the rose from his hand, her fingers brushing against his. She looked into his eyes, searching for the words he had left unspoken. Orion took a deep breath, his gaze never leaving hers. "Isolde, I know that our journey has been far from perfect. We've faced challenges and obstacles that have tested our strength and our love. But through it all, we've grown, we've learned, and we've become better versions of ourselves." He paused, his eyes shining with emotion. "And so, I wanted to ask you, Isolde Kaylani, if you would do me the honor of starting a new chapter with me. A chapter filled with love, with hope, and with the promise of a brighter future." Isolde's eyes widened in surprise as Orion knelt down on one knee, a small velvet box in his hand. He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, its facets sparkling in the sunlight. "Isolde, will you marry me again?" he asked, his voice filled with hope and anticipation. Isolde's heart swelled with emotion as she looked down at Orion, her eyes filled with tears of joy. She knew that this moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, a chapter filled with love, forgiveness, and the promise of a brighter future. With a trembling hand, she reached out and took the ring from the box, slipping it onto her finger. It fit perfectly, a symbol of their love and commitment to one another. "Yes, Orion," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you again." As they stood there, Wrapped in each other's embrace, the world around them seemed to fade away. The leaves rustled softly in the breeze, and the sun cast a warm glow over their faces, as if blessing their union. They knew that their journey would not be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles along the way. But they also knew that, together, they could overcome anything. News of their engagement spread like wildfire through Meadowgrove, igniting a sense of joy and excitement throughout the town. The residents, who had witnessed the ups and downs of Isolde and Orion's journey, now celebrated their union with open hearts and eager anticipation. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Isolde and Orion found themselves swept up in a whirlwind of wedding preparations. They chose a date in the spring, a time of rebirth and renewal, and set to work planning the perfect celebration of their love. Their second wedding was a far cry from their first, a grand affair filled with pomp and circumstance. This time, they opted for a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by their closest friends and family. The venue was a secluded garden, its lush greenery and vibrant flowers creating a magical atmosphere. As Isolde walked down the aisle, her eyes locked onto Orion's, she felt a sense of peace and contentment wash over her. She knew that this moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, a chapter filled with love, hope, and the promise of a brighter future. The ceremony was a heartfelt and emotional affair, filled with tears of joy and laughter. As they exchanged their vows, Isolde and Orion looked into each other's eyes, their love shining brightly for all to see. They promised to love and cherish one another, to stand by each other's side through joy and sorrow, and to build a life together filled with happiness and laughter. As the priest declared them husband and wife, a collective cheer erupted from the guests. Isolde and Orion shared their first kiss as a married couple, their love radiating like a beacon of light in the garden. The reception that followed was a joyous and lively affair, filled with music, dancing, and the sound of laughter. The guests celebrated the union of Isolde and Orion, their hearts filled with joy and happiness. As the night wore on, the garden was transformed into a magical wonderland, its twinkling lights and vibrant flowers creating a breathtaking backdrop for the festivities. As Isolde and Orion danced under the starlit sky, they knew that their love story was far from over. They had faced challenges and obstacles, heartache and pain, but through it all, they had emerged stronger and more united than ever before. They knew that their future held endless possibilities, and they were eager to embrace whatever adventures lay ahead. And so, as the night came to a close, and the guests bid their farewells, Isolde and Orion stood hand in hand, their eyes filled with love and anticipation. They knew that their journey was just beginning, that they had a lifetime of adventures and memories to create together. And with that knowledge, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges and triumphs the future held in store. As they walked away from the garden, the sound of the fountain and the rustling leaves fading into the distance, they turned to each other and shared a smile. They knew that their love story was one for the ages, a tale of forgiveness, redemption, and the unbreakable bond of love that held them together through the darkest of times. And with that, they disappeared into the night, their hearts filled with love and their spirits soaring with the promise of a brighter future. Their story, a testament to the power of forgiveness and the unbreakable bond of love, would be remembered for generations to come, inspiring others to believe in the magic of second chances and the promise of new beginnings. That brings us to the end of this video. Kindly support me by liking and sharing my videos to your friends and loved ones. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.